Yeah,
Yeah,
I think I'm live right now.
yeah. For me, like I would like the same thing as you do, like work from home, right? Like it would be so great to work for some European company, right? German or Norwegian, whatever, make that European money, but not live there. Like if I could just live back in Turkey, just make European money, it would be such a great deal for me. Maybe one day I can achieve it.
Yeah, no, I know that many Norwegians from my country, they take a. So one of the guys that I know, one of my best friends, he essentially got replaced because the company's outsourcing and they built this um, new um, place down in Spain where they will have lower costs according to their locale because like renting an office space in Spain is so much cheaper, right? And then they can just pay a bunch of Norwegians to move to Spain, right? And they could also give them less in salary because living in Spain is like 10 times cheaper than living in Norway.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'm not thinking about that, but just like work from home for a European company, but don't live in Europe. That would be like the best deal for me. Because I mean, realistically, right? If I go to work in Europe, it's not because I love Europe, it's because of money. Because I can make good money in my country, right? That's like the only reason.
Sure. Well, I don't know. If you want to make the big money, then you should go live in like Singapore or America. That's the countries with the best salaries in the world.
I don't even care about big money. Some average European salary, right? Like when I finished studying engineering, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then what's like an average engineer can make like 50K in Europe, right? Like a euros. You pay taxes, you're left with like let's say 35K. That's really good money if I don't live in Europe. If I live in Turkey, that's like very good money. So that would be a crazy good deal for me to make as much as some average European engineer, but not live in Europe. If you live in Europe, then it's a bit of a bitch ass situation.
Would you want to live in Turkey though? Aren't you like a European conservative, more or less, at this point?
I'm not a conservative. I'm not a European, and not for me. For 99% of immigrants who live in Europe, they do it because of better money, right? If they did earn the same money in their own country, then what would they even do in Europe? Most immigrants are depressed. Like, uh,
Sure. Yeah. No. Yeah. I agree. Like, they probably wouldn't come to Europe unless the economic opportunities were there. Um,
yeah, like for example, like let's say Iraq, right? If Iraqi economic conditions improved and Europe went through a bit more inflation, right? And like the gap wasn't so big anymore. Many Iraqis would leave permanently. Like they
hmm.
wouldn't stay. Why would they stay?
Yeah.
Like those people, even if they are here for multiple generations, they don't feel at home. And me myself, I'm literally born in Turkey. I grew up in Turkey. I have nothing to do with Europe. Even though like I speak like English, German. Like
Yeah.
I only learn like German for economic benefit so I can study and work there, right? That's the only reason.
Yeah. So why do you think you found yourself so like pro-European in a sense?
I'm not pro-European, but when I talk to you, I talk from your perspective, right? Because we are talking about the welfare of your country. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like it would be ridiculous. You know what I mean? When we
Sure.
talk about Norway, are we gonna talk about how Norway can benefit Turkey? Obviously not.
Sure. Like so what is your perspective, I guess?
On what?
Like I don't know. Like what do you believe in? What are your beliefs? Like would you say that you're a Turkish nationalist?
No, I am like a apathetic, cowardly person. I don't care about politics. I just want to live my life, and like stay away from conflict. I don't want to fight in war and anything like that. You know.
Yeah, that's why you're in the politics server, because you want to stay away from conflict.
No, I come in politics server to waste my time.
Yeah. Well.
Like, listen, like, you won't have any meaningful conversation on the server. Like, you come here, like, listen, you come here to have serious conversation. I come here to say the N-word. We are not the same.
Yeah. Sure.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
Like, yeah. No, I guess you are a bit of a troll.
I'm not a troll. Like, I don't troll usually.
Mm.
I mean, I say the N-word, but like when I give opinions, like mostly they are serious. Sometimes not the, like when I say stuff like, I don't know, talk about conquest, whatever.
Yeah. What about you, Australian Can? What would you say you are?
Probably the same as the Ravo. A little bit less, a little bit more conflict open, with a little bit more openness to conflict.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Like, I mean, I troll a lot, but when I'm actually having a conversation, I'm serious. So, but like for Turkey, I don't see a reason to fight because I think Turkey is like lost its spirit, right? It's like I don't even feel like it's, you know what I mean, love for my country anymore.
Well,
Like we lost our. Go on.
yeah. Well, I think that you can say that about a lot of countries, that many of these concepts of national identities have like been deconstructed, right? And made to be more meaningless. Um,
Yeah. I mean, I don't believe in this ethnic nationalism to begin with, right? Like in Turkey, we have Kurds, we have Arabs, we have Circassians, Albanians, right? Turkey is very mixed, right? Not on paper because we don't have ethnic Serbies, but you know, in reality. But it's like in the past, this country had a spirit, and different ethnicities had like a spirit to them. Now everybody is depressed,
sure.
and people kind of began to abandon their own traditions, but they also cannot really become Western as well. We are becoming like an unrecognizable monster. It's happening
Oh.
in many countries. That's in Germany as well. Like I have a friend from Germany. He feels so disconnected. He feels so alone in his own country because I don't know. It's just like that in many countries.
So how do you feel about Ataturk? Because a lot of, what Turkey is today started with Ataturk, right? Like he westernized Turkey and made it like more Western, right?
Yeah, I mean that's a good thing. Like even from an Islamic perspective, it's just you have to modernize. It's like you know what I mean. Islam being Muslim means being like civilized. It's not only about prostrating 5 times a day than living in Stone Age. You know what I mean. But after like Turkey, basically Turkey was on a good track in Ataturk's time and after him, but in the like 70s, 80s, like we went through, let's say, a second wave of westernization where our government became very liberal economically, right? And it caused a lot of like poverty, it caused a lot of social problems, like poor people moving en masse to big cities. It ruined the big cities, it ruined the countryside. It just didn't benefit the country at all. Basically, we suffered from liberalism a lot. Liberalism destroyed my country. We needed some form of like you don't need to be a Marxist, but at least you need to understand like
but
the theory,
but Turkish
like
liberalism
copy paste.
started with Ataturk, though. Like he gave women the right to vote and all of these things.
No,
He banned the hijab, right? Like I don't know. In
he didn't
Ataturk's
ban the
day,
hijab.
hmm.
He didn't ban the hijab, and like when I say liberalism, like basically we did some things, right? Let's say copy it from the West, right? That's okay. But giving the woman right to vote is a bad move, right? But with, like in Atatürk's time, it was okay. Like usually, we were in a good direction, but after like it was very heavily state controlled as well. The industry, the economy, agriculture, everything, right? Everything from immigration policy. I'm talking about internal immigration, right? Not immigration coming from outside that didn't exist at the time much. But
So
like
so
in the 80s.
when I'm reading about Ataturk's reforms, right? it says that the law of relating to prohibition governments of 1934 banned religion-based clothing for men in public. So I guess he banned the fez, right? Um, so I guess maybe I have
I
that
mean,
wrong.
Fez wasn't a religious clothing. Fez was more like I don't know if it was banned, but it wasn't a religious piece of clothing. Why? In Ottoman Empire, it was specifically it's like what do you call it, instituted that everybody, right, any ethnicity and religion had to wear it, and that's why you go some Christian like intellectual in Lebanon is wearing a fez. You go to Bosnia, some Muslim or Christian Bosnian is wearing the fez. It was just something to be like national, like an Ottoman identity.
Well,
That even stuck. Yeah,
well, what I've heard about the fez is that that was essentially something that you wore in loyalty to the Sultan, right?
yeah, yeah.
Or the Caliph rather. And I think what Ataturk did was dismantle the Islamic Caliphate, right? Which is why many Muslims today talk about like, oh, we need a new caliphate and so on and so forth. Um, so yeah.
Caliphate was already dead by Ataturk's time. Ataturk just removed it in name. Like the Caliphate was dead because many of the Muslim like former subjects literally revolted against us, right? Other than that, the ones that didn't revolt, like Iraqis and Syrians, they were conquered by Britain and France, right? And basically, all of the Muslim world became like European subjects, except for basically Turkey, right? And then Iran, but Iran is Shia anyway. Like the Caliphate was already dead, right? All of the Muslim world was in like European hands, except for Turkey. Like there is no Caliphate at that point. And yeah, like what Ataturk did is like he changed the government so he can rapidly like what they call reform the country. He was a pragmatist, right? And
Well,
you know
he
what I
was
mean?
also like an atheist. Like something that I've heard that Ataturk pushed too far for in his early reforms, right, was basically like his religious reforms because like he kind of modeled Turkey's religious laws after the laws that they have in France, which is of course laicite, right? Which is like the principle of you as an individual are free from religion and religious symbolry. So, like in France, there's not allowed any symbols of any faith or anything like that in public. Um, and yeah, I think that that is essentially what he modeled Turkey on. So a lot of the Islamic practices and Islamic schools, I think even like for imams and so on and so forth, were dismantled, you know, early in his reign, and
Um,
then he worked back on that later. That is my understanding.
the reason he did that isn't because he's against religion. He is not against religion. He, in fact, did things for Islam in Turkey that was never done before. He instituted, like, ordered the translation of Quran, the Sunnah, the Tafsir, right? So people could actually learn their religion properly, right? And he spread literacy to the population. That was less than 5% before the Republic, by the way. And that way, the people actually could learn their religion. People actually could read the Quran for the first time, you know? And that's why people Anatolia, right, actually became more religious after Ataturk, right? And people only started becoming less religious in the 90s, right? But that's another story. Like basically, like the reason he like I did a lot of things about against the religious institution is because many of them were just backwards institutions that, you know what I mean, they're against everything. They're against printing. They're even against like going to a Western school because it's like a kuffar, you know. Like they were against any kind of change. It's just ridiculous, you know. That he wasn't against religion. He was just understood that a lot of the religious authority, religious teachers in our country, but didn't benefit the country.
Mm.
And it wasn't even meant to be like, you know, like a permanent policy. It was just necessary at the time. He himself said that he denies any ideology, you know what I mean, as in like this is what is necessary at this time. There is no proof that he was an atheist. Like I don't know his religious position. I mean, he states in many of his speeches like he refers to God or Allah, so I don't know. Like you can't say like without speculating that he was
Sure,
not someone.
Well, I think that it's kind of common knowledge that that was like his position hold in private. It's like the same as Hitler. Hitler has amen. He says amen and praise God in a bunch of his speeches, right? Um, but I think it's pretty common knowledge that like in private, like Hitler hated the church, and he said like that um, you know the church and Christianity makes Germans weak, right? He said that Islam was far preferable. He said that if Germans were Muslims, they would have conquered the world long ago, right?
Yeah, Hitler. I wouldn't quote Hitler on anything. I don't think he understands Islam anyway. Um, but like with Ataturk, like call him an atheist is ridiculous because atheism is like some 21st century myth with, like ideology. Like you can't really find it in the intellectuals of Ataturk's time. Like really, atheism is just myth with, Reddit ideology. You won't find it at the time.
so
Do
so
you think any of the great minds of 19th century were atheists?
if any of the great thinkers of the 19th century was atheist.
Very rare. Like it's like
Well,
atheism is like a 70s rebellious myth with Redditor thing. Look, I
it's hard to know, right? Because like there are because like publicly speaking, anyone would be Christian because like if intellectuals came out as atheists publicly, they would be shunned, they would be removed from their positions, and so on and so forth. So like it was like in terms of doing business or your career or anything, it was like a death sentence, right? To reveal
bro,
yourself as an atheist.
bro, you read Marx, for example, right? Like first of all, 19th century Europe had a very free environment, right, intellectually. Other than that, you read the philosophies of 19th century, right? Like Marx, Hegel, whatever. Like you see, these people never exclude God from their philosophy, right? They take it very seriously. No, like it's just myth with opinion. Many of these like 19th and 18th century European philosophers took God very seriously. You can't find one that ignored it. I mean, very rare. There is some actually, but
Sure.
whatever.
Like yeah, no, like Locke and Kant and Hegel, and I know all of these men
I
have God in their frameworks, right? Philosophical frameworks. Um, I don't know.
like
Maybe
you
you could
make
say
the argument.
Descartes is more removed
You
from
can
God in a sense. He says that he can't even be certain of God, right?
Yeah, but he's a proto-redditor. But like the thing is, um, like you can't make the argument these people were hiding that I don't believe or anything like that when these people have written whole books, right? Whole paragraphs about God. It's just ridiculous.
Oh, but like, I
Like
mean, and
if
well,
it,
I don't mean like these people. I mean more like someone like Newton or Charles Darwin, right? Or
very,
like,
very religious.
hmm?
I mean, like Isaac Newton is a very religious person. He was almost like a Muslim because he did like he didn't like Trinity, but he was a staunch monotheist.
Sure, like,
But he he hid his dislike for Trinity, but nevertheless, I think he would be Muslim if he lived today.
Isaac Newton. You think he would be a Tate head?
Like the thing is, like atheism doesn't have much validity from a philosophy, like in the world of philosophy. It's just, you have all these people today on the internet. Look, I'm so smart because I shit on the books, I shit on God, I shit on tradition. Look how smart and enlightened I am. If any of the great minds of 19th century came today and see what is written on Reddit, they would be like, what the fuck? They would be horrified.
Sure. Yeah.
That's what happens when you give literacy and internet to peasants.
I don't know. So are you religious?
I mean, not that much, but I don't take pride in, oh my goodness, I'm so enlightened, I shit on religion, or saying like Ataturk is so enlightened, he couldn't be Muslim. You know, that doesn't work like that.
Sure, like it doesn't work like that. Yeah. Let's see if I can find something that shows him as a atheist.
Okay, what did you say? I mean, I don't know. Maybe there is some. Like, I haven't seen much myself. Maybe he is, but I'm not really interested in this. Like, I mean, you can show it. Maybe he actually is. Like, I don't think he ever publicly said that he's an atheist or he doesn't believe in it, and he wouldn't anyway, obviously, right? Because of like social conditions.
Sure. Yeah. No. Like according to what I see, he he said that there was only one God and that he prayed to God. I don't know. Like again, like that might just be about public image. I don't know. Um, it's kind of crazy, like for him to have the laws that he had and the reforms that he had when
Kick them
he
all out.
if he was a Muslim.
Well,
Have you
I mean, Islamically, like he didn't institute Sharia, but as I say, it makes sense at the time because a lot of the religious institutions are backwards, right? We need to reform the country very fast. Like we just went through 30 years of war, right? The first Balkan War, second Balkan War, like you know, and the war in like I don't know, North Africa with Italians, with like World War One, the Greco-Turkish War, like all these things. We went through so many disasters. You know, we are like literally starving. You know, we just need to institute very fast. He was a pragmatist. That's it.
Sure, it's just that if he was truly religious, I would think that he would have more religious sentiment, right?
Well, and
I don't see how these things are pragmatic because it would be so much easier for him to just like lean on like Islam. Like he could probably have instituted himself as like a new caliph if he wanted to.
no.
Like his religious reforms for Turkey was the most unpopular thing that he did during his period.
I mean, yeah, but he wasn't a democrat. He was a dictator.
Yeah.
In the end, I see a man that literally gave something, like, what do you call it? Gave everything we have to a Muslim country, right? So improving a Muslim country, I believe, is a Muslim thing. You know, like that's my opinion. And what else I was going to say? I don't know. I forgot.
Yeah.
Like people are very like trigger ready to, you know. He made mistakes, sure, but look at how the country was governed before him for centuries, like horribly under the name of Islam, right? So I don't know. Like I really to like take fear Ataturk as like, oh, he's not a Muslim, like as a leader. You need to take fear so many Muslim leaders that are much worse than him, that are Muslim on paper, but you know what I mean.
Sure.
Like that's my opinion. He made mistakes, yeah, sure. He made even mistakes from an Islamic perspective, yeah, sure. That's not that doesn't equate someone to be a kafir.
Yeah.
That's why there is many religious people in Turkey still like Ataturk. Like forget everything. Like he gave us our country. Without him, right? He was an incredible military general. Without them, we wouldn't even exist. The Greeks, Armenians, like the French, British, Italians would have raped us. We wouldn't even exist.
Yeah,
would
well,
be-
you would exist as a much smaller state, and like all these other states would just probably Well, like I think at least the people living in Greece or whatever would like the people living in these territories today that Greece won during the First World War would probably been Greek today, and like and like during Ataturk's time, it was like kind of commonplace that you would ethnically you know exchange people. So for example, I know that when Turkey was made and the war with Greece was over, you know, about 3 million Greeks moved back to Greece, and about 2 million Turks moved back to
You're inflating the
Turkey.
numbers, but it happened. Yeah, but it wasn't. It was just one-time event.
Yeah,
Basically, like I don't think there was multiple population exchanges. There was one where
yeah,
like we sent like Christians in our country, Orthodox Christians to Greece, and we take the Muslims, many of which are actually Muslim Greeks, not even Turks. And in the same way, some of the people we sent were actually just Christian Turks, right? And that's why you find many people in Greece today with Turkish surnames,
mm-hmm.
like that grizzly, like Kriakos grizzly guy, right? That is his surname is Kabaku, like a Turkish surname.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, IRA. He left. Okay.
Hmm. But he didn't only like ensure the survival of Turks. Like all these people that came from Balkans, all the Muslims in Balkans, a lot of Albanians who came to Turkey, Circassians, all these people that run away right from the European like oppression to Anatolia, all these people, right, like are alive thanks to him. Like all these millions of Balkan Turks escaped to Turkey after we lost those territories, right? And those
Yeah.
people like those people love Ataturk so much because thanks to him they have at least Anatolia to live in. Otherwise they would be genocided. I mean they were already getting genocided in Balkans.
Yeah. No,
So
the Serbians are very good at removing kebab.
yeah, indeed. Like if that's why like if you look at demographics of Turkey today, you have a few million people of Circassian descent, and same with Greeks, Balkaners, like and like Albanians, like all these like, Slavs, basically Muslim Slavs or just Turks mixed with Slavs, whatever. All these people,
Yeah.
as if we weren't very mixed
I
already.
guess Ataturk is like a Turkish Slav, right? Or something.
He's a what?
He's a
He's a Macedonian Turk. He was born in Macedonia. He's a Turk, obviously, but you know, like there was millions of these. I mean, at least a million of these in the Balkans before they all got kicked out. Like Muslim Turks in the Balkans and Muslim Slavs. Like, a lot of them came to Turkey.
yeah.
Yeah. Or my mother's best friend, for example, one of her best friends is like an Albanian from Kosovo. Like her grandparents were born, or her father was born. No, her grandparents were born in Kosovo. So, okay, let's switch topics. So,
Yeah. Whatever you want.
so do you have the term, the derogatory term, "blot" in Norway, like in Sweden?
Blot? Blöt?
Yeah, it's a term for like "blot" is like a term for immigrants, like a derogatory term for in Sweden.
No. I don't think we have this term, no.
Okay. But basically, like I seen this meme that basically describes how like the white like a middle class like Swedish people, I'm sure like probably the same is happening in Norway. Whenever the immigrants are moving into their neighborhoods, right, then they move out to another neighborhood, white flight kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because of this reason, you have a separation of Norwegians and non-Norwegians in like Norwegian neighborhoods.
So I've seen
Like
statistics on this when essentially the immigrant mass becomes more than 4% in the area, the white people starts moving out.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Why do they do that though? Like, are immigrants such a danger or nuisance in reality?
Well, like I don't know. You can look at many different statistics. I think from statistics like recording rape and many different things in my country, like immigrants account for like 80% of rape. You know, a bunch of other violence as well. Like I think a similar amount, like similar to 80% of amount of like um, knife fights and stabbings, right? Um, but like, you know, it might just be like different cultures. It's like what you're familiar with. Like you see people self segregate over time. So, like in Norway, I think we've done immigration much better than many other countries. So, we have tried to spread people out fairly evenly in the country, giving people their own houses and um, or that's provided to them by the state, and they're fairly evenly spread out. But like as soon as they get their own economic agency, they kind of move to the same areas, and like now all of them live in like this one region of Oslo, which is Grønland. Uh,
Oh yeah.
so like self segregation is a thing, and they move increasingly into the similar areas over time. I think people, generally speaking, are more comfortable with people that are like themselves, right?
Yeah, obviously. I mean, that's why I say the immigrants are not happy living in these countries. It's just, besides the climate that they find depressing, it's just, you know what I mean? You go outside, you see all these white boys. If you are an Iraqi, it's not a nice thing. I mean,
Sure. Yeah.
I'm not racist. It's just like I think different ethnicities can live together. But the reality is, if you are a minority in a country, you're surrounded by foreigners, or the people foreign to
Sure.
you. You obviously won't feel as home,
Well, I think an example of a country that did has done immigration fairly well is like Singapore, right? Where like essentially diversity is mandated. So like there's actually quotas for like how many Indian people or how many Malay people and Chinese people will be able to live in an apartment block, right? um, and because of this, like everyone is forced to like socially intermingle because like no one is allowed to like self segregate to one area.
Yeah. In Turkey too, we have this obviously
Hmm.
somehow like from this former like in Turkey too, we have this ethnic diversity going on, right? Obviously, even much more than Norway.
Yeah.
But the thing is, a lot of these people have a kind of common ground under being like former Ottoman subjects, right? And other than that, it's just there's a culture like of like everybody has its own ethnic community, and like they've been living together in many cases for hundreds of years. Like you go to a region like Mardin in southeastern Turkey, there is Christian Arabs, like Muslim Arabs, there's like Kurds, Turks, but these people live together even before their ethnicities were given a name. You know what I mean? So there's that culture of living together, but in Norway it's different. It's like very artificial. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. No, that definitely uh, like has a big impact. Like what type of conception of who you are matters. Like Singapore, as the country it is today, has always existed as a multicultural country, while Norway, throughout most of its history, has been homogenous, right? And
yeah,
so, like, these countries have like kind of shaped identities on like completely different concepts and completely different terms.
and even in Turkey, right? Okay, everybody is Middle Eastern, right? Even these Balkan Turks are like a roughly Middle Eastern, right? The Circassian, whatever, Kurds, Turks, right? All these ethnicities, they are all roughly Middle Eastern. But even then, in Turkey, we actually suffer a lot from because of like whatever like economic conditions in the 80s, 90s. A lot of people immigrate like from their regions to other regions, right? Like coastal regions where it's more developed. And we suffer a lot from this now. Like there's a lot of ethnic conflict, or even if the same ethnicity, right? But both are Turks. we suffer from a Turk from going from Eastern Turkey to Western Turkey, and this is happening in millions, right? And we actually suffer from, like, let's say, multicultural, like, what do you call it? Like problems that multiculturalism brings, even inside the same
Like,
ethnicity.
so I guess that's the difference you would say that exists between country and urban areas, right?
Not only that, it's just that, and also just between different regions. You know what I mean? But yeah, the main problem is just countryside, and these people going to these cities, right, and very uncontrolled as well. But my point is, even in Turkey, right, the internal immigration, even like the people, like the receivers, like people receiving the immigration are Turks, people migrating, incoming are Turks. We suffer from this, right? Even inside the same country. So imagine just Middle Easterners going to Norway. It's even a bigger problem. It's literally a different country. If this is a
Yeah,
problem, yeah,
no, like how different you are definitely matters, right? If you're like significantly culturally different, you become culturally incompatible. Um, so yeah.
yeah. As I said, if you suffer from these cultural differences, right, rural, city, or just Black Sea region versus Mediterranean region, right, stuff like that. If you suffer from this, even inside in our own country, I can't imagine difference between a Middle Eastern and Scandinavian, right?
Yeah, no, I think that the difference is immense.
Like for example, in southern Turkey, right, a
Hmm.
lot of Black Sea people immigrated, and there is some degree of hate for them, for example, even though both are Turks.
Are my parents siblings? I don't think. Wait, let me ask.
Okay.
Oh,
Well,
I need to mute this
it
guy.
was nice talking, but I think I'm gonna head off now. I'm starting to get pretty tired. I wish you
Okay,
all a
then.
good night. Have a nice one.
Good night. Good
Good
night. See you.
night. Good
Good
night.
night.